Well, for episode 44, we've got the man with the best hairdo in sim racing. Welcome along, Danny Giusa, a good friend of mine, and we've worked together now for a multitude of years. But it's good to finally see you, mate, after the Expo in Dortmund last year. Did you have a good Christmas and good New Year, first of all?
Yes, Christmas and the New Year was amazing because I had off and vacations and was a pleasant time actually in Berlin. Not too cold, no snow. Was great to relax and recharge the batteries actually.
So, what I like to do is, Danny, if you'd like to introduce yourself to the audience that are either watching or listening as to what do you do?
Uh, yes, what I'm doing is sometimes a bit hard to summarize. But let's put it that way, like the typical LinkedIn phrases at first. Currently, I'm working as a Source West Vision, which is also known for being the marketeer or organizer of the ADC SimRacing Expo. And I'm now responsible after last year, where I was putting down fires right and left and center
Yeah.
when I was needed. Now I'm doing PR, building up content creator contacts, influencer contacts, and still taking care of the sim racing side of the ADC Sim Racing Expo.
hmm
So I'm a bit more now closer to the community and can leverage what my connections and my network, and also having a nice chat with people like this one. But
Exactly.
this one is less work for me personally. It's more like friendship. So yeah, but that's like my business, what I'm doing right now, and I think where I flourish, to be honest. Yeah,
Exactly. I mean, we first came across each other through the previous organizer for the ADAC SimRacing
yeah,
Expo,
yeah,
back in the Road to the SimRacing Expo back in 2021.
yeah. Long time actually.
It is a long time because, of course, this year marks the 10th anniversary of the SimRacing Expo, and I did drop a little bit of a teaser. Well, it is actually official now that I am going to be the lead commentator for the SimRacing Expo.
Yeah,
And it's not just for 2024, folks. We're going right the way through until 2027. So
exactly.
at that point, Danny, I will be 50 years old. Can you believe that? That's ridiculous.
I don't want to talk about the age
No, no, no,
then.
no. That's the thing. Because the thing is,
Because
normally I have a beard, but this my trimmer blew a gasket, so I had to shave the beard completely off. So a new trimmer's already on order. But yeah,
I know this issue.
But not only does Danny
Yeah,
have a capacity at Southwest Vision, but you've also done quite a lot of racing. You're doing a lot of work with Pro Sport with their sim racing outfit. You recently
yeah,
picked up a trophy at the ADAC Sim Racing Expo. But
yeah. That was quite funny. Yeah,
that was quite cool that he stepped out of official Sim Racing Expo duties, stuck on the Pro Sport Sim Racing GmbH t-shirt, and went up to the stage to pick up his trophy. But
yeah,
also, like a lot of people, when Gran Turismo was going really, really big, Danny, you competed in GT Academy 2014, along with the likes of
yeah.
Mark
10 years.
Gassner. 10
Already
years!
go. Yeah, it's totally crazy to be honest.
I know. And what was it? One of the people that was actually giving you, like, being your expert was a certain Nick Heidfeld, who still to this day has the
Yes,
best beard in motorsport, hands down.
definitely. I think it's not real. I think it's like I don't know, something from a plastic chirurgy or what it's called. Yeah, it's plastic surgery is like a fake beard, which always looks nice and always the same color. I don't know how he's doing it, but it's actually probably the best beard in racing. Yeah.
Yeah, he probably uses a lot of Just for Men. He just doesn't tell anybody apart from his wife. We just
Yeah, I
don't
need
know.
to ask him for my hairs. Maybe the products for his beard are also good for hairs. I don't know.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
of course, with that, you got a lot of experience. You headed over to Silverstone as well to get the
Yes, was amazing
opportunity.
there.
Just tell us about your experience of having that chance to compete against, a lot of stern competition in
Yeah.
2014 because GT Academy up until it got cancelled was really really
Yeah, sadly, yeah.
competitive. What was your
It was
experience like?
so first of all, I think it wasn't only very competitive, I think it was way ahead of time. Um, because it's basically the groundwork for the people now coming from sim racing to real racing and have been accepted there.
hmm
Because at the time I was there, this was like instructors told me like, yeah, in the previous years they struggled to find instructors actually because nobody believed in it. And around 13, 14, it really like kicked off in real racing for the academy. And then like instructors like high profile ones. So basically one of my instructors was one driver, factory driver for McLaren. And sometimes when I see like videos of like the McLaren Senna development and so on, he's still there actually. And he was like asked to be a part of the project. So you saw like there's like a continuous growth there. And from terms of how I like experienced it, it was like I think one of the best times in my life because it's so what you're doing there is so outstanding. I mean, you know, people have like jump out of a plane on a bucket list or driving a specific car or doing something like that. And this was like you have experienced like I think the first round was in the Nürburgring. It was 4 days, and then we had like 10 days in Silverstone, like 14 days of everyday action. And like, what will be next day because nobody told you until tomorrow morning at the breakfast. And therefore, it was like a very adrenaline rush, and but also high tension because you don't want to end it, right? So basically, each day somebody needs to leave, and you're like always on the edges. Is it me today or I have another day? It's like sounds a bit weird, but if you're in this kind of position, you know, it's not about the money because they tell you always it's like 1 million project, but in the end, it's about the drive and like being that driver.
Hmm.
In terms like for Mark, I think it's kind of like a sad story to be honest because he was like we really get on from the first minute, and he's a very nice person, very humble, and I mean he came in front of me like this 40 centimeters in front of my nose, and um I got out of the car and was like directly congratulating him and like having a chat. And then how the things went down, he had only one season, like it was a not prepared or well prepared car, and ADC GT Masters and that time was like super competitive.
Hmm.
I think all of the now established racing drivers were there, and he was like with the Nissan GTR. I mean, except for Bathurst, the car's not very competitive.
Yeah, true.
And then driving on tracks like Oschersleben or Sachsenring, where the car can't flourish actually, and then not being prepared at the best possible, was actually for me very heartbreaking to see. And like to be 100% honest, I was very happy afterwards being second because I had my motorsport stuff already.
Hmm.
And if you have these kind of ambitions and like very fired up, and then you get to that big dream, and
Yeah.
then you can put 110% into it, but the basis, like the car itself, is not possible to deliver from the 110% at least 80. I think that's very, very hard. And it's like a lot of racing drivers will probably have these kind of situations in life coming into Formula One driving in the back marker team.
Hmm.
But they also have this kind of progressive career. In a GT Academy, you are placed into it now as you're here, you know? So that's more of the kind of instant dream.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's all like the sink or swim sort of situation.
Yes, exactly.
But moving on from that, Danny and I are very well linked in the world of karting because obviously
Yes.
you competed in the German team championship for a number of years. Just remind me of the team name. I think in the latter stage was it Scuderia Novorosso or something
Yeah,
like
exactly. Yeah,
that.
we were like having the worst possible name for car for successful motorsports Scuderia, at least in the last couple of years. No, just joking. The team was my father actually founded the team, and it was like a possible solution. So I can my me and my sister actually can drive like karting professionally.
Hmm.
So we run the team, we done everything, and other drivers were actually paid drivers, you know,
Yeah,
as a Formula One, but in karting.
yeah. I mean, the thing is that where I've been, like say Wackersdorf or
Yeah.
Mulsen, Danny has pretty much been too as well. So
Except
it,
for Musen. There, I
Mulsen,
wasn't
no,
there so far.
Mulsen, you haven't been there. I think I was there
Yeah.
in August 2020 for Rosax Germany. Um, but yeah, I think the thing is that one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on the show is to talk about sim racing in general. Because
Mhm.
firstly, let's get on to the expo, and of course, folks, I am wearing my hoodie. I've got to wear it. I've got to represent in this episode. But it's our 10th anniversary for the Sim Racing Expo.
Yes. Yeah.
Really, really exciting times. There's a lot of news coming out on the ADAC Sim Racing Expo socials
I don't know.
from what I've seen,
Yeah.
and because there's certain things that there are discussions that I'm having with people at Southwest Vision, not
Yeah.
just Danny, where we can't reveal anything, or certain things we can't reveal because they're still in the works. But how excited are you about the fact that it's going to be the second year out of the 5-year contract that we're going to be at the Dortmund Messe, and we're celebrating the 10th anniversary? I mean, things couldn't be even more exciting if you tried.
I think it's a very, very, very positive sign, not only for us as the organizer, but also for the community that we now stay at the place.
Hmm.
And last year was like this kind of make it or break it year.
Yeah.
Many people lost trust in the expo or in the kind of the concept because not only the expo itself, people in the industry were like talking sim racing down.
Hmm.
Like, oh, Corona's over, the boom will end, and so on. But you actually see it's not happening like that. All the racing games have like upwards trends. Assetto Corsa hit a new all-time record of participating drivers in Steam. Beam NG also. So many racing games. I always talk about racing games because sim racing is such a small like niche inside of racing games are really having an upward trend. And somebody who's like probably driving some at some point a arcadish racing game will come to sim racing at some point. Um, so therefore, it's like the lights are set to green for the future, and obviously, like having this kind of 10-year anniversary puts some kind of pressure to us,
Hmm.
because it's not like Sim Racing Expos anymore, like this kind of small scale
Yeah.
exhibition only for the hardcore part of the community. Um, I mean, we had over 11,500 visitors, and 2 weeks ago there was an article on LinkedIn from one of the German gaming magazines, and actually, Sim Racing Expo is the fifth largest exhibition in terms of gaming in the whole of Germany. And now we are talking about a niche exhibition, which is only focusing on racing or
Hmm.
sim racing and hardware and so on. And that's like a huge achievement, actually. Like, but not only from us, but also from the community because people show interest coming, the exhibitors coming. And I felt like this time around, also the exhibitors started to notice that only putting a simulator at the booth is not enough anymore. It's
Yeah.
like you need to have activation, you need to have like somebody who's talking to the community, answering questions, like also like having a chit chat and like just have a laugh and being like more than let's say three letters on a box for hardware.
Yeah.
And I think that that trend is growing, and also in how we are now talking to exhibitors. There are far more detailed questions and kind of entertainment, what we can do or what they can provide, what they also pitch to us, what we should do, or we talk about back and forth about some kind of activations. Also, I pitched last year to some content creators an idea. We have partners where we're like, this is kind of just really cool. Can we support you and so on? So basically, I think through the success of last year, it all grew a bit
Hmm.
tighter together
Yeah.
because everybody noticed that you see it often in different parts of life. You have the same industry or passion or some, but many people work on their own stuff
Hmm.
instead of like you can work on your own stuff because it's totally right. You're one exhibitor and you're actually competition to the other one. But in terms of exports, better to work together to have the more wider approach and trying to like boosting the industry. Because what some people not see, like even like good game releases are always like this kind of land sites in the industry. The industry is good or games are good. So the common conception of how sim racing does goes up or down. And the Sim Racing Expo is like the only or the biggest exhibition for it.
Yep.
So if the expo is shit, sim racing will be perceived at probably going down.
Yeah.
And if the sim racing expo is bold and big and people are like happy, it's like, okay, it's going upwards and the trend is good. And that's actually the most important part in my terms of what why I see, because it helps so many people, like from drivers to exhibitors to people from the press, content creators, influencers, and so on. It's like really flourishing for everyone then.
I think it was also nice to, when we had the party on the Saturday night, and it was great to
Yes.
see, like, say, Dave Cam, random call sign, Lawrence de Soswa, and we'd seen quite a few of the Potato Nation. Some had come from like over stateside to come over to the expo.
Yeah, that
Swelio,
was mind-boggling actually. Yeah.
and they were all biting their fingernails because the rugby was playing, because it was Ireland versus New Zealand, and I could hear all the the
Mhm.
sudden intake of breath and everything. Meeting Swelio Almeida properly and getting to know
Yeah.
him. I mean, he's a great guy. And if you Swelio, if you're out there, buddy, I need to get you on the show at one point. Really need to do so because
I think you can ask him. He jumps onto the show.
he
He,
does. He does. Like
he's
literally,
so easy.
he sorted me out a couple of copies of the Motor Racing Book Volume One, and he signed one for me personally, and then said, uh, can you do me a favour?" And I said, "Yeah, sure."
Mhm.
If I need to get rid of these copies. Like he had 100 or so of them with
Yeah, I
Dortmund,
know. Yeah, yeah.
and he said, "Well, I'll sign another one, but make sure you give it to somebody you know." And the first person I thought of was my good friend Kai Rillerts, who
Mhm.
is a Belgian driver, has been running with Red Ant Racing and Porsche Cup Racing with the 24 hour Creventic series, and he's also he's won multiple titles in karting. So I gave it to him, and he forgot to he didn't know who to tag for the book, so I made sure I
Yeah,
shared the story and tagged Swelio in it.
yeah. Very good.
And
Yeah.
it's folks, if you do want to get that book, or take advantage of one of Swelio's courses, go for it. But I think we've got to know each other very, very well as good friends. Apart from the fact that
Yes.
we
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
we we work together, and it's really nice to be able to have people within the industry that that you work alongside, but you have a lot of great fun. And when we have the Sim Racing Expo, like we've had the last couple of years, I think I still remember the Aussteller party, the exhibitor party, in when we were like literally right on the what
Which one? The tequila incident?
that was the one where Matza, I think, nearly started stripping on the dance floor at about 1 in the morning. But then we were just off one of the main points of the not the iconic Norris ring,
Yeah. Yeah, that
which
was
is
also
really
good.
really funny. And then I remember getting a taxi back to the hotel, and then having to do two like sort of filler pieces for camera, and they said the first one needs to be 5 minutes, 3.5. Second one they went need 15 minutes, 8.5, and I went, when you've had a few drinks the night before,
I don't remember how we came
oh
back to the hotel. The only thing is was I was like at my doorstep at the hotel and I was like that was like my after the some kind of um water filled with some alcohol in it
yeah,
at the bar with Cam from Next Level Racing. Afterwards, this was my next
but I think
memory.
yeah, but I think we were all a bit more sensible this time
Oh
around,
yeah,
just gone. But at least the good thing was the location Strawbles was 5 minutes walk, and then I think
yeah,
the nice thing, folks, is that there's a picture I'm going to put on the screen now, which is me, Danny, Ancha, Nadi, Ollie, Matza, where we'd gone to that really good schnitzel restaurant, and then I
in
think
Dortmund, yes,
in
yeah.
Dortmund, and then I look around, and then I've seen like Cameron Daz, Gamer Muscle, Swelio's there, and I'm like thinking, what the hell? Like literally, there's two big tables, and it's occupied from people that have been at the Sim Racing Expo for
Yeah, but
three
we must
days.
say this was like on Sunday after
Yes,
the
yes,
exhibition, and everybody was so exhausted and so calm and like turned into himself, and we didn't notice, and they didn't notice us, and then we were like sitting 15 minutes there,
yeah,
and like, oh, you also,
yeah. It's
yeah,
it's sort of like we were like thinking, at that point when you've been on your feet or you've been working
Yeah.
really really hard for I mean you and the team at Southwest Vision were there from earlier on in the week, and you came and kindly picked me up from the airport when I landed on the Thursday. But it was just like everyone was just completely defeated. It was like all the
Yeah.
adrenaline had just
Yeah.
gone like you just go and relax, just want to have a meal, good chat, and then
And then some hours, days of sleep.
oh yes, yes. I think I got home Monday evening, and the first thing I did was unpack my bags and went straight to bed. Like literally, you're
Yeah,
right, yeah.
I couldn't make unpacking the bags. I was like, goodbye.
But I think it's always good that when we have these kind of events, when we have like the LAN events with the competitions, we've seen a resurgence of LAN events. Of course,
Yeah.
Gamescom, everyone knows. ESLR1 has really sort of tried to make a significant impact with bringing a lot of prize pool money, along with um, with Moritz Herbecker and the team at Rennsport. I think things are on an upward trajectory, Danny. But how do you see the way that land competitions are evolving, apart from what we have at the
Mhm.
Sim Racing Expo?
I think there's always good and bad. Um, I think that ESL and Rennsport are trying to make a sustainable way for the competitive drivers to really maintain a professional level in terms of being a professional team and also having like a sustainable job for as an esports pro is very goodbye. My colleague is leaving. Is very good. On the other hand, you also need to ask, as usual, I think, because sim racing esports is still quite young,
Hmm.
and from my previous experience in other esports, we are going through the phase where the esports drivers are just caring about being a driver, but being not like a marketing. Not, don't get me wrong, I say tool,
Hmm.
but also like there are not enough drivers that are doing like regular streams, doing like some kind of content creation, or the team is doing content creation for them.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I think that's like a natural process
Yeah.
that we need to develop, even as it's already happened in other esports. But each kind of scene and niche is like probably always going through these kind of things. And I was in some kind of yeah, let's say industry call with Transport, and Overtake was also there, so Sebastian Horn and so on. There were some very positive remarks on Transport and how it is perceived outside of the sim racing bubble, which is also I think very important because many of us sticking their heads too deep into the sim racing bubble and like maybe get some kind of negative
Hmm.
feeling around some stuff,
Yeah.
especially with Rensport. I mean, this kind of scandal about the source code, which turned out to be just a licensed thing, which never was an issue.
Hmm.
Um, these kind of things are not going outside of the sim racing bubble, and therefore Rensport is very perceived as a like a yeah at the front of the development of sim racing, and um, I hope that we will see more LAN events because not only it's good for the competitive scene, it's also very good to have this kind of continuous meeting with people from the industry. Like it's always different if we are talking about a Teams call or via something like phone or something, but meeting somebody in person is putting discussions way faster forward,
Yeah.
and also storming is always, I think, easier in this kind of regard. And yeah, I would love to have like some kind of continuous events where you can meet at least one time in 3 months,
Hmm.
like in person. Maybe having like scheduled talks, like like a meetup or a conference.
Yeah.
Um, we are also thinking about that. I think for the expo, it would be like a consecutive step forward. We
Hmm.
have all the people coming and maybe like organizing something of that. Therefore, it's very welcomed that Rennsport, ESL, and the manufacturers putting so much pressure on that. Um, Otherwise, also gives a lot of opportunity for people like you, like commentators,
Hmm.
social media people, and so on, to actually have additional work, which is also important
Yeah.
because we need to create more space for work and for people that put in the effort, so they can also have like potential career in sim racing. Because
Mm.
for now, it's like being a professional racing driver. Only 0.1% of the 99.9 are possible to maintain this job,
Yeah.
and that's not good for the health of the sport, and therefore we need to widen it up and making more opportunities for everybody to work in.
Yeah, I think as you said rightly there, Danny, the ecosystem really needs to be sort of not exploit. I think exploited is the wrong term. I would say probably advanced, whereby there's discussions between sort of like say content creators, what the community want to see,
Yeah.
talent such as myself with regards to hosting commentary. You know, social media is another big tool that a lot of the professional teams, when you see like say Porsche Coanda, Williams
Hmm.
Esports, Mouse, there's a lot that these teams are now starting to put in to give
Yeah,
ret-
totally.
return on investment for sponsors that provide them with products. I mean, you look at the list that Williams Esports, they've got Razer, they've got Chill Blast, they've got
Yeah, they
Duracell,
have a
they have
long-standing list.
quite a lot, and they're one of the more established teams around there. But then you look at teams that have come in, like say Mouse, but what they did when we had that silly season at the beginning of last year,
Yeah,
which I remember covering, um, when it was sort of like two of the biggest hitters, Max Benneker and Moritz Lerner, who had like Max Benneker having
mhm.
11k on I rating, and then leaves Redline. His last appearance was in Nuremberg at the Sim Racing Expo when
Yeah,
him and
yeah,
Gianni Vecchio were leading the Digital GT 500, and I still remember myself and Corby wondering what the hell had happened on the pit stop phase. And I found out when I think I actually spoke to Max post race when they were packing up, because you could tell he had a face like thunder. It was like that did not go well, and it was like don't bother me. And I
yeah.
just wanted to go over and just sort of like say, I just said to him, it's been a real pleasure having you and Gianni here with us, and we really appreciate you taking part in the Digital GT 500.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Which was the only thing I could say, and I didn't want to sort of like go, what the hell happened? Because
No, no, this
the
is a
the fir-
typical thing you
the
don't ask.
exactly, because they've got faces like thunder, so you just try and lighten the
Yeah,
conversation. I think we're seeing a lot more talent in terms of not just commentary and hosting, but we're seeing a lot more content creators, and we're seeing some new ones really burst onto the scene. Ash Vanderlei being a perfect example of someone who really is
yeah.
starting to.
I
Um,
think saying like she's bursting into the scene is like a very, very underestimating word. Actually, she dominated actually content creation. I think in
well,
2023, like
she did, she did.
it
I mean,
was crazy good.
the funny thing was, the first time I knew of Ash was when I ended up doing the Race for Mental Health 4 for Jimmy Broadbent,
Yeah,
and she ended up jumping in the booth. We finally met in person at the CrowdStrike 24 Hours, because she's now an award-winning content creator thanks to
yeah,
SRO
that's
America, which
awesome.
is awesome.
Yeah,
She went over to Florian Hasper with BS competition, so joined the herd, and then jumped over to Red Bull Esports, which has been, and now it's just like literally. There's been an announcement she's now joined Shift Up now with Pippa Mann and Ashley Freiberg in the States. So it's really good to see someone who's become like this dominant whirlwind through esports content
yeah,
creation, and now everyone's sort of like going, holy crap. Like Ash Vanderlei is a complete breath of fresh air. Her TikToks, her reels, her stories, they do so well
totally,
on
totally.
traffic.
Yeah,
I'm
Mahindra could hire her, but I don't know.
mm, yeah. That's one of the things that has recently happened before we recorded this podcast. That
Yeah,
Mahindra decided to bring on an AI female
yeah, that,
influencer, which completely backlashed on the team, and they have now apologised and said that we're not proceeding with it. So, Mahindra Racing, have you not contacted Ash Vanderlei and seen if she's going to join you guys for Formula E? There is an opportunity for a female influencer, and that's another thing as well, that we're seeing a bit more representation. But I think at this stage, Danny, there's still there's still a barrier to get over with regards to more women being involved, front end center. We're
Yeah.
seeing a few more, Ash Vanderlei is blazing a trail, and there's more female content creators as a result of that. But I think it's still going to be a bit more time before we see further female content creators really, really sort of up their game and are on the level of Ash Vanderlei, and then we could see a completely different shift and an activation, I think, in terms of general populations, because you and I both know that
Mhm.
motorsport and sim racing is quite heavily male dominated. We've known that
Totally.
for years, but it's great to see that there are breaths of fresh air like Ash Vanderlei coming in and really shaking things up, aren't we?
Yeah, totally. I very likely to welcome that, and I think Ash is some kind of people, or where you see how much work she's putting in, and if you know how hard it is to create content, you ask yourself when she's actually sleeping,
Mm.
and like I was like really like talking to her and was like, how much hours of sleep do we have day by day? Like 4 or 5 hours max, because all the editing also, she's like putting very much also professional quality work into it. Like
Mm.
there's literally no bad edits, or like when she's talking, like everything fluent, very well cut and so on. I think the issue is that male-dominated communities are always very toxic toward women,
Yeah.
because as also in jobs, women have like a higher barrier to impress other people than men,
Mm.
and therefore if they do these kind of things, they prepare like to double, triple the effort,
Mm.
and then they're coming onto the scene and like Aing of everything, and therefore like getting a huge attention boost because like they're coming from out of nowhere, being very on top and doing that very professionally because we are training a lot of kind of things to get this content at this quality. And what I loved most about it is actually that the SRO took her under the wings and like promoted her, because that's actually something for motorsports very unusual.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
and also they went over Twitch and gave her like a commentator boost. Now that's your scene. You're doing the Twitch channel and go for it. And that's like SRO is not like a really, really big corporate company, but it's still a huge player in motorsports.
Yeah.
And therefore it's like very counterintuitive to be like that, but it's very welcomed and very great that they did something like that, because I think that was the next stepping stone to get more credibility in terms of partners she's working with, and then like upping her game, going to Formula One teams and so on. And it's not only her, of course. There are like a bunch of great women. I would love to like say directly a name, but I'm very shit with names. Um, but also, is it Ellie or Melly from Red Bull Racing, who's also doing a great job? And Red Bull Racing also founded now a academy team for girls, which is also
Yeah.
very cool. So I think these kind of sparks in the scene are now like not being more sparks, are like a small fire right now, and now maybe growing to a big fire that also other girls are like motivated to come into the scene, doing content and flourish in what they are doing.
Yeah. I mean, I remember seeing that, and I just thought, what a great initiative. To really sort of try and break that barrier divide that we've had for so many years, and it's just really really good to see that someone like Ash, as I said, has been an absolute trailblazer. And you know what, when she rocks up, one of these days, I know for a fact that we'll be getting her at the expo and saying,
Mhm.
right, you're part of the team, come on,
Yeah,
like,
I would love to have her at the expo. The only thing is this kind of water between our both
I know.
land masses, but yeah, maybe at some point there is a expo closer to her than to our location.
Exactly.
That could be
But
happening.
you know there's, along with also working at Southwest Vision, you also stream a lot as well. And I have to ask a question: is the headband still being used?
Of course. So, basically, I took a long break from streaming,
Hmm.
um, or generally being more active in the community after my old company went bankrupt because I got a lot of shit directly from people where I was like, I couldn't understand it at that point, and I'm still like feeling I didn't deserve that, and I was like,
Hmm.
I mean, I talked to you about like stopping all this kind of sim racing stuff and getting back to my IT company work. Um, which would be obviously more boring.
True.
Um, and therefore, I needed to take like a break of streaming and doing so much on social media. And but in the time after the expo, and also talking to friends and like colleagues and so on, it was like very helping that his somebody said like, why go all the way and now turn around?
Mm.
Um, Yeah, and therefore I was like over the Christmas weekend, like, why not go back to streaming? I mean, I don't need to care whether there are people watching, and if I enjoy it with two or three people, it's fine. And then I was like, okay, iRacing is coming up in a new season. I wanted to drive GT4, and then I yeah, streamed, and it was quite fun. I think I streamed more than the last year in that kind of 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And if you've paid some notice, I also revised all of my graphics and tried a new art style and so on. And so, also with my company here, I was like talking about streaming and doing it more regularly. And I have somebody from Rennwelten actually from the community where we did our partnership last year with and continue with that this year who's living close to me, and maybe there will be some kind of project between us because I think it's very rare that some sim racing drivers, which are also quite deep embedded in in the industry, are living that close to each other and can do probably some content together.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry for the emotional part, but it's sometimes a bit hard about talk about the kind of things where you spend way too much life in it and then get
Yeah.
face rolled from some keyboard warriors.
Yeah. No, I. This is the whole point of commentators' corner, folks, because when and I want you to understand this, folks, and this comes directly from here, that this is a passion project of mine. This is about finding out about people. If people get emotional, that's part of this journey. I don't do this show for analytics. I do this as a passion project, just like my vlogs. And I'm the one thing that I was really pissed off about last year was the Sim Racing Expo vlog was going to be an absolute banger, and the footage got corrupted.
Yes.
So 2024, folks, believe you me, it will be a bit more in depth. I should hopefully be up and running and all sorted on that front. But yeah, like you say, Danny, sometimes unfortunately there is still that toxic feeling that sometimes you have to watch what you type on your smartphone or your keyboard before you hit enter.
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like literally there's I try and people say to me, why don't you show the warts and all stuff where things go to shit? Well, I do on my
Mhm.
vlogs. Like I had a trip to Latvia a few weeks before the expo. It was the final round of the championship, and we were due to stream qualifying the first set of heats on the Saturday afternoon. We then had a massive problem because the generator decided to blow a gasket. It
Oh
went wrong.
shit.
It went wrong. So like literally, we started streaming. Music's kicked in. Go, hello everybody, welcome. Da 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 da. And 15 minutes into the broadcast, the director's in my ear saying, "You've got to tell them we've got a problem with the stream. We've got the
Oh,
generator's gone." And I was like, "Okay." And so I said, "Ladies and gentlemen, please bear with us. We've got some technical difficulties. We'll be back with you as soon as we can." And this is like probably about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So we've
yeah.
recorded a lot of
Perfect
content.
time.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
content in the morning. So we'd gotten through the first qualifying session, and then generator goes down. Then we find that there's a new one that's going to be delivered. So we have no coverage of anything that's going on that afternoon.
Yeah.
So I'm off of turn one at a place called Jelgava. which is about 30 minutes outside of Riga Central. So and then the stream computer loses all its vmix profiling. It goes into safe mode, so the stream director's having to.
Oh,
And we got to like 6 o'clock in the evening, and I said to him, "Look, when do you
yeah.
possibly think the computer will be up and running?" He said, "Probably about 6:40." And I said, "Look, there's only going to be two races. There's no point. Get everything set, get everything ready for tomorrow. I'll explain everything exactly what's happened." And I did a vlog like saying, so I showed everything that went wrong. Everything that went wrong, which included Edgar's having to open up the computer,
Yeah.
blow all the dust out of the RTX 3070 he had with all three fans spinning. And I just said to him, just get it ready for tomorrow. Get it ready for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So new generator, sunshine, brilliant racing.
Oh my gosh.
We
Yeah.
get, and then it gets even better. Tillotson T4 final race of the weekend closes
Mhm.
out the weekend action. Lap two carts come together on turn one, and the one that gets punted on the outside, the right rear on the axle, then
Yeah.
decides it's going to hit the generator.
No.
Hits the
No fucking way.
generator,
No.
and we've still got 18 laps to go.
Oh, live productions are
And I could hear,
nightmares.
I could hear the beeping on the power. And Edgar's went, "We've got about 20 minutes." I went, "They're doing 50-second laps. We're fine. We're fine."
Yeah. Yeah,
And
definitely.
then
Yeah.
we then got to the end of it, and I said, "Well, considering all the dramas we've had this weekend, thank you so much for joining us. Mic drop. I'm out of here." And as I said the words "mic drop," Edgar's cut the stream, and
Awesome.
I
Oh.
just went, "Ah, oh, thank God that's over with." But
Live productions are so on one side so
yes,
amazing
hmm
because it's this kind of working machine between people working together and everything working. But when something is happening, it's always stressing you out so big time.
it's really funny. Like multiple, yeah. I actually haven't told you this. I got about when we were doing the digital GT 500, me and Nico,
Mhm.
I got about 5 phone calls from other people that were wanting to talk to me about work,
Yeah.
and my phone was on
Oh,
do not disturb. I got 15 WhatsApp messages, and like I completely
yeah.
ignored the phone until we got to the
Thank you
closing
very
ceremony.
much
And I was
that
like
you didn't
thinking,
pick up the
and I
phone.
say to Pete, like literally already, my calendar at the moment
Yeah,
is
that
looking
was crazy.
incredibly busy, and it's just quite funny when you've got a 3.5 hour broadcast. So you're doing the build up, you get the race, then everything's all done. You call the winner across the line, da 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 da, and then the show closes. What people have to understand is that whilst I'm commentating,
Mhm.
I get WhatsApp messages from anybody. And the first thing that my phone is, it's on Do Not Disturb, so I can actually see what the hell's going on, who's trying to
Yeah,
contact me. And one of the worst persons to do it is my sister. She'll be like, "What time?
of
What time are you?
course.
What time are
It's
you?" But
always family.
it's always family, and when it's
Yeah.
and you know as well, like so, like when your sister sends you a message like, "When are you going to be here?" And like, and it's not. Don't do you sometimes find it's when you're on the road and you're like thinking, "I'm driving at the moment. I am not going to see what this
Yeah.
WhatsApp message says." It's like, what? And then you get the following question mark question mark. Why haven't you answered? And then you phone them, and then
Blue
they,
tick. Oh, you didn't answer.
yeah, you phone them, and then they don't pick up, and they still have 30 seconds to send you a
Yeah.
responding WhatsApp message saying, "Look, I can't talk at the minute." And it's then you have to be very careful of how you do this. Like hit the microphone button on WhatsApp and
Yeah.
go, "I'm driving at the moment. If you want to talk to me, please call me." And I had that several times last year, which is nothing like a bit of sibling love to discuss
You need the
in a show
car.
like this.
You need the car with CarPlay or something that you can pick up and sending messages over the car. That's
I know. I need to get myself something pretty cool, like a Cupra Leon, which is a car that you.
I know. Yeah, I can recommend that car only by the biggest love I have. This was an unpredicted love. I was like, I don't want to this car. I wanted to the A4, and then I got this one, and yeah, I fall in love with that.
And it,
So,
yeah,
guys, if you can drive a Cupra Leon ST, get it. Perfect.
I think I'm looking at one for my next car. To be honest
Yeah.
with you, I need to get the Volvo replaced at some point.
But
Um,
Volvos, I love Volvos.
well, I
They're so
mean,
iconic.
yeah, I mean, especially my I've still got the Volvo V40 based on the Mark III Focus, 2 litre turbo diesel, 150 PS, and that car has done multiple
Yeah.
times on the German autobahn, 225 kilometers an hour,
Wow.
which is effectively 140 plus miles an hour, full speed, flat chat, throttle to the floor, sixth
Yeah.
gear, no lift, no lift.
No lift. Yeah,
Yep,
that's the prettiness of the German autobahns. If you have the chance, you can go full throttle. That's no issue.
I'll definitely. So, but Danny, I have one question I need to ask you. Now,
Okay.
this is the final question I ask my guests because I know that you and a couple of the team at Southwest Vision are going to be heading to Sim Formula Europe in Maastricht with to catch up
Tomorrow at
with
5 o'clock.
tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock. Oh my God! So you're going to be are you driving there?
No, I'm not driving. I'm so glad that I don't need to
Ah,
drive.
so you.
You know how hard it is for
Oh,
me
I
getting up early and then how I look.
Mate, I mean, especially when you have to drive from Berlin to Nuremberg,
Yeah.
that's not exactly that's about a 450-kilometer drive on
Yeah,
almost.
tomorrow we will do like 1,100 back and forth, I think, or something like that.
Hmm.
Let's see.
So this is a question I ask all my guests. So Danny, your final question on episode 44 of Commentators Corner. You have it
44.
44,
Awesome.
44. We are going to hit north of 50 very soon. Because I've got quite a few guests
Yeah,
lined up already.
yeah,
Some people
really
from
good.
the German sim racing space as well. Um, so you have a choice of a road car and a race car. Okay, of
Oh, my choice. Okay.
your choice, and you can decide for each car which stretch of road or which circuit you would like to drive it at.
Oh, okay. The issue is like regular car is way harder
Yes.
than racing car because I'm quite certain if I could drive a racing car, it would be the 2004 Formula One from Michael Schumacher, only to fulfill this dream of my childhood poster next to my bed. Okay, that wasn't the 2004 one, but the 2004 one is so iconic. And then probably Mugello, because I think Mugello is one of the best tracks for high downforce cars, period.
Okay.
Um, and for a road car. I mean, one of the cars I would love to have and always loved, I only drove. So it was a Ferrari 812 Superfast. Um,
Nice.
yes, in matte black, it was pretty amazing to be honest. Should have made more pictures. But Stelvio Pass
Okay.
with a 911 Targa, probably.
Oh, that's a good call there.
964.
964 Targa. So we're talking
Yes.
late 80s to mid
Late
90s.
80s, mid 90s, best cars. There
Oh,
were cars like cars and not smartphones on tires.
okay,
Yes, that would be, I mean, yeah, with the 80s soundtrack,
okay,
20 degrees
right.
and no time running.
No,
That would,
yes, yeah. Phone on Do Not Disturb in the glove box. Tunes
don't
playing.
care about that one. That can stay in the hotel. I don't care.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I tend to do now is I make my
What
response.
is your choice? I mean, you can't question,
Oh no, no,
put
no.
this
That
question forward to
this is the
me.
whole point of this
Okay,
question.
okay.
The whole point of this question. So we're gonna go with the ultra dominant F Ferrari F 2004 that took Michael to the World Championship that year. A very good choice. So I'm now going to look at the cars that it competed against in 2004,
That I need to look up also because I remember only one car.
and it is going to be the car that took a certain Jenson Button to third in the Drivers' Championship. And what's more, BAR Honda, it was their most successful season before Brawn. It's the BAR Honda for 2004. And the track I would go in that vehicle would be Hungaroring, and the reason being
Oh
it's
yes.
quite
Yeah.
seminal is that in 2004 Jenson Button did not win a Grand Prix that year, if I remember correctly, but he did come close multiple times. Jenson got six third places and also got four second place finishes, finishing on 85 points behind Rubens Barrichello in
Yeah.
second
Yeah.
and Michael. Um, okay, so
Jensen Button is such a underestimated driver, actually. I
exactly.
mean, he never had. This is always this kind of like not like Hulkenberg, but like a bit level up to him. But like always, this driver was so nice, but
Hmm.
racing very hard, but always fair, and was always competing on the edge, but never had the best car,
Hmm.
except for 1 year, obviously.
True, true.
But so therefore, I was like very, very happy that he was world champion at that point because I thought like this is like finally completing his um passion and his path in motorsports or path in Formula One.
Yeah. Okay. So if you're picking, we'll agree on the road section, the Stelvio Pass. So you're
Your path is
talking
amazing.
the Porsche 911 CS Targa. I'm going to go a generation back. I'm going to go
Oh
930
yes.
Turbo.
Oh, that's also very good.
And that'll be from round about the time when I was born, actually, 1976, 77.
That's the very slick ones. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it would be the 3 liter, which
Of course.
yeah,
Otherwise,
yeah, the 3.3. No, got to have the 3 liter in that one. But
yeah, yeah,
Danny,
yeah.
thank you so much for being on Commentators Corner for episode 44. Looking forward to
Thank you
catching
very
up in
much for having me.
person. Hopefully not too soon from now. I've been speaking to a colleague of ours saying that there are multiple times when I will be in Europe for quite a few weeks. So I
Yeah,
think
we need to. Yeah.
we definitely need
Sorry,
to catch
go
up
on.
we need to catch
Yeah,
up in person. But
yeah.
Danny, thanks so much for coming on the show, buddy. Really been a pleasure to catch up with you
Thank
again.
you, Alex, for having me. I like really. Thank you very much. I enjoy every time talking to you and having that dedicated time for a frame of my day is
Hmm.
like very, very, very good.
Yeah, so
Thank you very much,
folks,
mate.
yeah, no worries at all, mate. But don't forget, Danny's social medias are in the links in the description down below, along with Southwest Vision, along with the ADAC Sim Racing Expo, the 10th anniversary, 18th to the 20th of October 2024. Tickets are available as well, I might add.
Already. Yeah.
So that will be linked in the description down below. So as I always say, if in doubt, flat out, we'll see you for episode 45. Goodbye.
Goodbye.